Yeah, I think with time, man, we'll get past all this, and hopefully we can just do some simple things like we did before. Nothing. Man, I honestly, like you said, the most fun I ever had is like the Tuesday night arm wrestling and uh, just going down there to what's that place we met at for the first time at the Strike Zone?
So, Thunder Alley.
Strike Zone. Hold on. But anyway, all right, guys. So hey, I'm here live with David Owens Jr., the founder of TAA, Tennessee Arm Wrestling Association, the guy, the man, the myth, the legend, the dude that brought formal arm wrestling training to Tennessee. David, man, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for coming on here, getting live on YouTube with me, my man. Thank you for just inspiring me and introducing me to all the arm wrestlers out there, brother. You're a legend in Tennessee. Always will be, man. Hey, your volume. I can't hear you now.
Uh-oh.
There we go. Now I can hear it. Yep. Yeah, it went to like water mode. It was like muffled, and then all of a sudden you can hear it. But talk again.
Yep. I'm here.
Oh, cool, man. Awesome. All right, brother. So, all right, man. Let's start. Let's start back from the beginning. This is it's kind of some things I want to talk to you about. Uh, for one, you organizing an arm wrestling tournament or arm wrestling team when you first moved to Tennessee. It was you called it the Bone Collectors. Uh, remember that?
Bone collectors, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was so basically when I first got out here, like internet, it was around, but I didn't know where to find, arm wrestling out here. So I started looking into like setting up my own little tournament, one tournament, maybe trying to get some practice guys going and stuff like that. I already had a couple guys that were sort of interested. So I want to say that we had the first tournament in 2009, and I want to say after the tournament is when we come up with the Bone Collectors thing. So we got like, I don't know, 5 to 10 guys that were coming to practice fairly consistently, and we kind of decided as a group that's what we were going to call ourselves.
Who was the first person
we had the first tournament
you met? Who was the first person that you met in arm wrestling? Huh?
What was the first person? What?
Who's the first person that you met out here that enjoyed arm wrestling and wanted to arm wrestle with you? Was it James or Scott Whitfield?
No. So it would be Stephen Fisher. So I knew Stephen, he was a personal acquaintance, and I talked a lot about arm wrestling and stuff like that, and eventually he kind of wanted to try it, and so that's kind of where it started.
Okay. So
and then as far as James and all those guys, so we had that first tournament, and after that, James worked. He won the 198 class. It was all novice classes, if you can remember. He won the 198 class, won undefeated. Scott Whitfield won 176 and under left hand, and 177 and over left hand. So that was novice classes, his first official tournament, and he went completely undefeated.
wow.
Scott Whitfield, James won. Joe Stevens was one of the original guys. He was at that tournament. We had so many people. Junior Bruce. We had a lot of people that were showing up back then that necessarily don't anymore.
Yeah.
And so, out of the original guys,
hey, hold on one second.
From there, and then we started having the tournament.
Stop. So, what made you want to do novice versus like everybody else wanting to do like pro classes? Because most everybody wants to just promote to the pro. What was it that made you initially start with the idea of looking at local people? What's the
Well,
backstory on
there
that?
aren't enough arm wrestlers.
Huh?
I mean, so like like I said, like as far as being super involved with the internet at the time and things like that.
Yeah.
This is sort of, I was getting into it, but I wasn't like heavily into it.
Yeah.
So my thought was, I'm not trying to have a tournament and be a professional promoter and draw all the major arm wrestlers, because it really was my first time promoting. So I know how to arm wrestle, and I had learned a whole lot from just really watching professional promoters, USAA, AAA, and then Bill Collins. So back then it was Hard World Promotions, and that's kind of evolved into, NAP and UAL. But those guys were the ones that I watched, and I took the things that I liked the best as far as how the tournament ran and how smooth it was, and as an arm wrestler, what I preferred. And I used those things. And so, like, I mimicked the setup as far as how you come to the table and what order, like what matches are drawn, what classes come up. So instead of starting from, the bottom class and working our way up to the heaviest class, we would do the biggest classes, right? So the ones that had the most people in them, we'd run them down. And then we'd work our way down to where we had everybody down to 4, and then we'd run the finals, you know what I mean? And that's pretty much how USAA and Bill Collins do it. And then as far as rules and regulations, I try to go with the stuff that was the most current. So I think already we had established WAF rules. I may have even been using USAA rules on that first tournament. I'm not 100% sure. But WAF rules, super similar. So I just took the things that I liked out of it and tried to be as close to that as possible. And then also knowing that I was only going to really promote locally. So that means that by default, you're going to have novice arm wrestlers. You're going to have people that really never done it before. So I tried to promote like several months out, like flyers, talking to everybody that I could about it, like the work for non-internet related, promoting.
You already knew people from other states when you moved here, like arm wrestlers in states that are close to Tennessee?
Not too many. Not too many from the South. No, Michael Todd for a long time. From probably 96, since I was 16. So
yeah.
But outside of that, no, most of the guys that are out here I met out here. Okay. So even from the surrounding states or around Tennessee, I met most of them out here.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Now, when I think of arm wrestling, I think of two separate things. I think of the entertainment of arm wrestling, and then I think the sport of arm wrestling. And when I think and the sport, a lot of with the sport goes the rules, and who do you get your philosophy from, or who do you like? Bill Collins would obviously be one of them, but I know you do follow it on a world level a little bit or a higher level of rules and regulations. If anybody's watching, I mean, what would you try to orientate them to understand what league? Who are some people that are in charge of all these different levels? And also, if you would, I know that's one question. How do you see the rules kind of coming together? Or I know that's a really tough question, but I guess what I'm saying, the world level leagues having one unified rule book that is, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. That
right.
the same rule book.
So it kind of depends on what their
Go ahead.
so it kind of depends on what their goals are, right? So as it stands right now, you kind of have a professional side of arm wrestling that's sort of, done up for TV a little bit, and then you have people don't like the word, but I would say like more of an amateur style, very structured, that kind of stuff. And it's professional arm wrestlers. I wouldn't say that. I would say we can get into like naming like what professional is and all that kind of stuff, but it's arm wrestlers that have been around a while. They know what they're doing. They're some of the top guys. So I would say if your goal is to pull in, with the guys on TV and things like that, then you're gonna want to do it within those rules. Even if you're gonna go to, let's say, like a WAL regionals, that's not, or even a sectional or a local or whatever, it's not in the limelight, so to speak. You're going to want to know how to pull under those rule sets, right? And if that's all you ever do, then, I mean, if that's all you want to do, then that's really all you have to have, right? If you're wanting to try to win a world championship, or even a national championship, in my mind, what I would say is a national championship, then you're going to have to learn basically what is pretty much the rule set, right? WAF rules is pretty much the rule set anywhere else, right? So
God willing, I would like to go to Worlds this year. So I'm going to need, me and you are going to have to sit and talk and go over rules, man, because you know how much my elbow wants to pop off that table all the time, bro. So
yeah. And to me, I prefer the stricter rule set because as much as I don't like the ref to decide the match, I don't like who can cheat the best to decide the match either, right? And there's still a little bit of that, right? In just arm wrestling with WAF rules and great refs, there's still a little bit of that, even with all those things. But in my mind, anything that you can do to make it as fair as possible from the start, we should do.
So WAF, for people that don't know, what does it mean, and who are some of the people that run it?
Ooh, man, I couldn't even tell you who the president is right now. So the World Arm Wrestling Federation is, at this point, and it's a little bit, disputed because you have another federation, trying to emerge and gaining countries and stuff like that. But if there was an Olympics in arm wrestling, then that's WAF. That's the World Arm Wrestling Federation. It's the World Championships. Their job is to host the World Championships. That's what they do. So countries from all over the world send their top 2 competitors in every single weight class, and it's like 11-pound increments every 11 pounds, right? So literally, when you go there, like, you're getting the largest group of really, really good arm wrestlers assembled anywhere.
I'm pretty sure Ingen would say that's where the most competition. Ingen, he said that would be where the most competition. If you won a WAF title, then you are elite for like in the world, correct?
Yeah, and I mean, so Luke Kent said before that it's who you beat in a tournament, right? So titles, and to me they don't mean nothing, but he said titles mean nothing. And the reason he said that is because if the best guy is not in your class, you can become the national championship. So being the best and being the champion of that class that day is 2 different things. So it depends, right? So at the World Championship, it's okay to kind of blanket say these are the best in the world. Yeah. And in a lot of cases they are, but in some cases they definitely aren't, right? So like the best super heavyweights in the world right now largely are not going to the World Championship. Most of them have at one point or another, but like they're going where the money is for the most part.
Okay. Is there any other associations that are similar to the WAF that that would be relevant to bring up in the whole scheme of organized arm wrestling that you?
I mean, not in my mind. I mean, there's another organization, and I can't remember if it's IAF or something like that, but
IAF?
they're, what is it?
IAF, International Arm
Yeah, I'm
Wrestling.
not 100% sure. What is it?
Is it IAF, International Arm Wrestling Federation?
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I just know that as of a few years ago, we had like a meltdown at the WAF level, right? Where basically they were banning arm wrestlers from arm wrestling in other tournaments
Yeah.
for, silly reasons. But, until all the countries are there, right? So, like, to me, that's what it is a world championship.
Yeah.
Until all the countries are there, or the majority, then that's not the world championship to me. I mean, it's what it is. I wouldn't say that person's not a world title champion or whatever, but
Right.
in my mind, wherever everyone is going, that's where the world championship is. So, if WAF has 80 countries and the other one has 17, then I don't know what you call that. I don't know what you call it, but it's not, to me, it's not the world championship. And it's unfortunate, and that's something that's been happening for a long time in arm wrestling, is that we can't get our act together, and we can't work together to be structured. College wrestling is structured better than arm wrestling by a long shot. You know what I mean? Like, just think about high school wrestling is structured better than arm wrestling is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and the United States had a chance a few years ago, the same year as the WAF meltdown, to have one nationals, and for 1 year, I think we did. We had one national championship, and I think that's something that you need to have one national championship, because it just makes sense, and then you need to have other things to build up to that, or lower levels of that. But it should be a lot more structured, and it doesn't have to be like. So a lot of the problem is that you have promoters in states that already have existing national championships, right? So, like, let's say a WAL could come in and say, oh, we're making a national championship in every state. But these promoters already have national championships. You don't have to do that, right? So, like, let's say it was WAL, and they go, we want to structure the sport. We want to have the pro side, but we also want to structure the sport from a local level, from a state level, and then a regional level, and then a national level. We want to have structure. They could easily reach out to those promoters, work out a deal with them that works out good for them and promotes the sport, because that's what we're all doing. And ideally, if the sport grows bigger there, then their ratings or their viewerships or whatever will gain, right? So it could totally happen, but it's got to be like a united front. It can't be all this, well, we got a national championship, and this one's got a national championship, got two state championships in this state, and I mean, it's not helpful, you know what I mean? And this is one of the most frustrating things about arm wrestling to me. So if I focus on our small practice and getting better myself, and training the people that are with me and getting them better, then I can hang around. But man, it really gets me fresh. If I focus on that stuff, if I'm like, man, like, we got to fix this. It's just, I tried for a long time. A lot of people tried. I'm not saying they didn't, but for one reason or another, we can't get it together. We cannot come together. And there's countries out there that do a good job of, having one structured, even if it's an umbrella, you know what I'm saying, of different little organizations that have their own tournaments, they do it better. So we got a lot of infighting and territorial disputes and things like that are not helpful.
So I've seen recently Corey Miller is starting to take a leadership position with Denise Waddles in what association would you Denise be over?
The United States Arm Wrestling Association.
United States Arm Wrestling Association. Okay. Um, what part does the United States Arm Wrestling Association play into the WALF, the World Arm Wrestling Federation? Is that something different?
No part now. So I want to say they are working with the other organization that's hosting the Worlds at this point. So the USAA at one point was part of the USAF, which is the United States Arm Wrestling Federation.
Okay.
And the United States Arm Wrestling Federation is the governing body that hosts the Unified Nationals, which by rights should be our one nationals, right?
There's been three big organizations that did nationals, right? And they're like
There used to be.
AAA.
So a couple of years ago, the USAA and the AAA stepped back and said, we're going to change the name of our nationals so we can have one national, which is something that a lot of arm wrestlers has been kind of lobbying for a long time. And they didn't do it at the same time, but they both did it. And I thought that was great. So I'm like, okay, now we can all come together for this one event. But unfortunately, I think by that time, USAA had already separated themselves from the USAF, and we're really not having anything to do with that. As one time they were on the board, and I don't know. I think I hope that there at some point, we'll get to the point where people realize that the better we work together and the better we plan stuff together and not against each other, the better it's going to be for all of us.
Well, see, this is what I think.
And I'm sure at one time that wasn't the case, but arm wrestling is like spread all over now, and so it's a lot different than back then. You know what I mean? So it's definitely doable that we could come together, make things happen, include the local promoters. It could definitely happen.
Yeah. Yeah, even in our own state, even in our own state, getting everybody to participate and make the pie bigger. Because one thing I've learned in anything, 0% of zero is what? Zero. I mean, you're going to hang on to nothing, for no reason. And it's like, instead, like I could say, David, how can I help you? How can you help me? And and then we're starting to figure out how to really hang on to each other's coattails. So there is some people starting to think like that in the arm wrestling community. I just interviewed Uncle John today, and he seems like a guy. I don't know if you've seen Uncle John on YouTube. I interviewed him today, and he seems like a guy that is a collaborator, somebody trying to bring some people together and is that understands that concept, that it's not acting like a third world country where everything's so rigid and
right,
unnecessarily rigid that it just impedes everybody from progressing. But I think that the rules need to be just as important with the entertainment. It almost seems like that, because to me, when I met you, the reason I was so fired up about arm wrestling, David, is because the rules, the structure of the whole training. I'd never felt anybody put back pressure on my hand before. I had a whole lot of side pressure. So, you were teaching me different rules and different training regiments. And the structure of all that was what was exciting to me. And I don't know. I feel that there needs to be more organization with that. And I don't know, man. I don't know if you feel like jumping in there with Corey Miller and all those guys that are trying to. It seems to me like there's certain people that are into structured rules trying to lead the U.S. in that, and some like almost like a collegiate level, or like NCAA is into rules and regulations, governing bodies and stuff. Because the people have to assimilate together and agree on stuff, and there needs to be some kind of lead into that. But that's why I'm just interested in your perspective, because I know you've kept up on that more than most people have, for sure.
Yeah. So I definitely am interested in promoting again. I think it's got to be for the right reasons. Like if, I'm all stressed out about it and it's not fun, promoting is hard work. So like anybody that's never done it before and goes to a tournament and complains about how the tournament runs or things going wrong, has not run a tournament before, you know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
So it's hard work. It takes a toll on you. You stress about whether people are going to show up. You stress about how you're going to deal with things if too many people show up. And, and then, stressing reffing and making the wrong call and all that kind of stuff. But I enjoy it when I'm doing it for the right reasons, which is, to have a good time, get more people involved, show it off to people, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then practices all in between that. And what's amazing now is that like arm wrestling in Tennessee has exploded. Like, so you have, groups pop up out of nowhere, you know what I mean? Just people look on the internet, find stuff, and then all of a sudden there's a new group, and that's pretty cool. Like it's just, we didn't experience that back then. And so if you think about how that's happening now, and it's early, I would say it's early in the state of things for arm wrestling, right? With internet and all things considered. Yeah. And in 10 years, like, just imagine how far that's going to spread. I mean, you're going to make a huge dent in it, right? So being structured and organized and all those things are going to be very, very important. But I haven't heard anything about any group of people trying to get together to kind of push the needle on that stuff. I think it's kind of an uphill battle. Like you're going to have to really, you basically need like a union of promoters or something like that to kind of get everybody involved. And I hate to say it, but like when people feel like they got a good thing and that they got it right, they're not going to change, right? So like it largely that's the way it is. So I mean, I don't know. I'd like to see it happen. I definitely think that there's people capable of it. I just don't know if some of the promoters have it in them to let other people in on their stuff, and they feel like some of these guys been running it the same way for a long time, and they feel like they have the perfect formula or whatever, and they work hard at it, and they're trying to make money while they're doing it too, because a lot of them are traveling around doing it. And there's not a lot of money in arm wrestling, like entry fees and things like that, and then you got to pay for medals and all this kind of stuff, or trophies if you do that. If you're giving away cash, all that stuff eats into it, and there's no return on investment on any kind of sponsorships that you might get or anything like that. It's just there's not enough publicity, right? So that's why I said like somebody like Wall is in a position where they have financing and they could reach out to these promoters and go, look, this is what we're doing. We know you hosted this state championship for the last 20 years. We'd like to bring you on. And unfortunately, when they did something similar the last time around, and they had like WAL promoters, man, there was a whole lot of sending money up the road to Wall. You know what I mean? And you don't have to, like, they don't have to make their money there. They're not going to make money there. I mean, that's all there is to it. Because if that's the way it is, the promoters aren't going to do it. And if you get other promoters to do it, they're not going to be like these guys that have been doing it for a long time, right? It's not going to be your family setting with the base of all the people that have been there forever because they love this promoter and they just, they want to support these guys. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so they could do that. They could totally do it, but they're going to have to do it in a way that includes them, like you said, in the piece of the pie a lot more,
Hey, for somebody out here for some people out there that are thinking of hosting their tournaments, David, if you would go back to some of the some of the strategies that you implemented to like give out an arm wrestling table or a point system. What are some things that you did to entertain guys in Tennessee with the structure that you created to get people to participate into the tournaments and into a point system, into anything that you were doing? Because I was very impressed with the way that you structured everything that you were doing from a novice perspective. So if somebody out there is watching this and they want to host a local tournament, what are some things that you did in the beginning to get us to participate from the early days?
Well, I mean, be willing to donate your time.
Yeah.
So, so we did one tournament in 2009, and then we did 6 in 2010. And the first tournament, I gave all the entries away as cash prizes to first place, right, in every class. These were all brand new arm wrestlers, new to the sport. And I understand that there's people out there that say, well, you shouldn't pay them, they're novice and all this. Listen, like, in anything you do, you're going to want some incentive for doing it, right? Like, you're going to want something to keep you there. And the idea that, aside from us crazy arm wrestlers that just get into this stuff and will travel 4 or 8 or 12 hours or get on a plane and fly somewhere to arm wrestle, everyone is not going to do that for doing, right? But they would participate if they could do it on a local level. Like, that was the whole purpose. And the idea is get people close to me, a place to come to arm wrestle, and if I could get the word out, that I could get them to come.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have massive turnouts. Like, I think the first one had 30 people or something like that. But over time, they definitely got better, and you always had a chance to win something, right? Like, you were in it for something. So the winners of those classes, the winners of the first tournament, all got the money in those classes. Then in 2010, when we started, I knew that I wanted to do more tournaments, and I decided that I was going to try to do 6, right? That's one every 2 months. It gives people time to train, things like these are local people, right? Like, I'm not trying to get, Michael Todd to come to the tournament, okay? I'm not trying to get Justin Bishop or any of those guys. I'm just trying to get, the roofer down the road, and I'm trying to get the, people that work at the retail place.
I mean, you did that so well. Most people are like, how in the hell can you get new people in here to, I mean, that seems like a tall task.
Well, like, there's a certain amount of people that are just interested, right? So if you can talk about it and you can get it out there, if you can get it out there to people. I put flyers up in gyms and things like that. But when we started in 2010, we did all of the entry fees in each class, and we had 6 novice classes. All of the entry fees in each class went to a pool, and at the end of the year, that pool bought 6 arm wrestling tables.
Okay.
And we did points race, so we advertised it the entire time from beginning to end that it was a points race on every single flyer. This is the second tournament of the points race, and like, we just made it a big thing, and then we gave away 6 arm wrestling tables at the end. And so, and I'll be honest with you, like, part of that was like, yeah, we got to have prizes, right? And I did medals at every tournament. I did medals that I got them paid for by the venue at every tournament, right? About $150 to $200 worth of medals. They were nothing special. They were all engraved specific for the tournament, which was pretty cool, but they were basic, you know what I mean? They had an arms emblem, but it was just basic medals. But I gave away tables, and I did that because I knew that if I gave away 6 tables, that there would be 6 people who could start an arm wrestling team if they wanted, right? They could start having their own practice if they wanted. And so most of them did. I mean, if you think about it, in a lot of cases, most of the guys that won tables ended up either hosting practices or being a regular and that kind of stuff.
And everybody needs a James Work, the glue, man. That guy. Remember how much James posted?
Oh yeah,
He was in it
all the
man.
time.
All the
Oh
time.
yeah, and could like recite the stats to you and tell you different things. James Work has a log with his record of like all of his matches since he started and the tournament that he went to and all it is just a paper, like a notepad paper.
Yeah.
But he's had it and he's kept those notes, and I wish that I'd have done that. Like it would be amazing to look back and see like your win-loss record against certain people and how you evolved over the years.
If it went for the internet, we still wouldn't have anything,
I know, right? So that's another crazy thing about arm wrestling too, is that because it's so like underground and all this kind of stuff, you think about it, like somebody that could create a program, they could just make a program that was easy to go in there after every tournament and enter the wins and losses into a national database or worldwide database that would just keep the wins and losses of every person, what tournament they went to, and I mean,
there's a guy down in Georgia. I'm trying to think of his name. He has a website. That's what he does down in Georgia. I can't think of his name, but it's not here nor there. But yeah, it would be cool, man.
Just you saying, is it Georgia or are you talking about in Louisiana?
It's down south somewhere. He's got a website that you can go to, put in all kind of information. He's kind of like a data guy,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I know that all these things people want to see. It's kind of like Eric from Canada, all the arm wrestling history. I like that. I like going and checking out the history of arm wrestling. Sometimes I catch myself just going back there to read random stuff that, I don't know anything about. Just checking out matches from a long time ago that's pretty interesting. That just happened in bars, that nobody knew, and just stuff like that, man. And that's what was fun for me is I can just remember some of the guys that we started with. I'm trying to think of some of their names, man. Of course, I remember Scott Whitfield because Scott was crushing everybody at the beginning. His left hand was stupid. I mean, it was just crazy how strong.
Everybody.
Huh? What is it?
I said almost everybody.
Almost everybody. That's true. Almost. He used to look at me. It's gonna be fast.
He was crushing all the novice guys for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. He's crushing them for sure, man. And it's just a natural strength. And there was a lot of guys that came and went a lot, at the beginning. But I enjoyed. Huh?
It happens. It's just like if you got to spend the first 6 months going through like devastating tendon pain all the time, and so you can drive 3.5 hours or 4 hours or wherever you're going to spend $50 to arm wrestle all day long, or wait around and watch other people arm wrestle all day long and pull 5 matches or whatever, 7 matches if you did real good or whatever.
Yeah. We did that a couple times, man. In the beginning, I'm thinking, dude, I don't know if I want to be a pro or not, man. 12 hours, 2 and out. Let's have some drinks, have a good time. But man, this arm wrestling may not be for me.
Hey, or when you fly all the way to Nevada from Tennessee and you go 2 and out, that sucks, man.
It was so bad.
It's
I had a good time meeting Kenny Hughes, though.
Everybody kind of goes through it for the most part, but yeah, it's not a great fit. And here's the thing, though, like it doesn't really matter who you are. There's like a few guys that you could probably leave off that list, but everybody has that at some point, right? Where they could be one of the best guys, show up to the tournament and have 6 of the best guys there and end up going 2 and out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Hey, let's go back a little bit to your dad. You said, I believe last time we talked, you were around 16 years old, somewhere around there when you started attending arm wrestling tournaments with your dad. Is that correct?
I was 15 when he started. So I think the first one that I ever went to was the Los Banos May Day Festival or whatever is done at the Los Banos Fair.
Uh-huh.
And that was the first one I ever went to. And I think he did pull some amateur tournaments after his first couple of tournaments, but he pulled pro like right off the bat. And like I think like his first match he beat a pro, like flashed him. And then once they realized like he was, and he didn't know nothing, he was just super strong, and there's just a lot there, you know what I mean? But so the first one I went to was Los Banos, and he had pulled maybe a couple other tournaments besides that. But I don't think I ever pulled officially for about a year. I started when I was 16. But I went to a lot of them, and then we'd practice at home. I would pull with them and stuff like that. And then eventually I kind of got up the nerve, and I was pulling 132.
Dang. How'd you do at the beginning, man? Did you get hit pretty hard? Did you hang in there a little bit?
Well, I mean, I think I pulled novice or amateur when I first started, and I definitely didn't come out just winning every tournament or anything like that.
Who did y'all train with? Who was some of the people your dad trained? What was y'all's group there in California?
So back then, so the first one that we ever trained with was Bill Collins. So he's the one that runs those tournaments out there, the majority of them in California. And we went to Gold's Gym in Los Banos, and he had like a setup for practice in there. And there was probably 5 or 6 of them. There was arm wrestlers that had been there for a while, and then there was Bill, and I want to say Mark Pryor, which you probably don't know who that is, but for me, Mark Pryor, when I was growing up, was like one of those guys, right? He had like a really hard shoulder press. And as far as I was concerned, he was like one of the top guys in my dad's class, right? Mark Pryor, Alan Fisher, Mike McGraw. So we practiced with Bill, I think, for a while in Los Banos. And then at one of the tournaments, my dad, I think he took a loss to Mike McGraw. And then Mike McGraw talked to him after the match and invited him to practice with him. So then we started going to practice with him. And it was the California Arm Benders. Back then, Bill Collins was heavily involved with all that. And let's see, Kenny Hughes started probably maybe a month after I did.
Yeah.
And he was 15 at the time and just strong as hell when he started already. And
Kenny was like supposed to be could be like John Brzezinski at one time, right?
Yeah. And I mean,
how much was he turning heads? Yeah. How? I mean, do you remember his growth and how? I mean, who did he beat to get that much notoriety in the sport as being the next John Brzezinski?
Man, I think like Kenny, the way that he shot up was amazing. But like when we talk about John Brzezinski, we're talking about somebody that's done things in arm wrestling that nobody ever did, and it's a different time. It wasn't the same as it is now. Like you don't have trained arm wrestlers all over the world. It was a little bit different, but nobody's ever done what he did, and like has been as dominant, right? Like pull 6 classes and win every class, chewing bubble gum and slow roll them all to the pad, smiling. Like there's been guys that will win 6 classes, maybe. You know what I mean? I think even like a Corey Miller at 154 or 176 has won that. But like to do it the way that John did, there was nobody doing that back then, or ever. There's never been anybody that's done what he did for as long as he did it. But Kenny, when he first started, he was a strong kid. He was still getting beat by, I think, every pro when he started. But within, 3 or 6 months, we pulled with a guy named Michael Boylan. And he was a 132 guy. I want to say that Kenny, maybe it was because, so Los Banos, I think, had a 154 class. They didn't have the 132. But Mike Boylan was a 132 puller. And Kenny beat him, within like the first 6 months or whatever. And then pretty soon he had.
Hey, I think we got 3 watching now, dude. We got 3 people watching now.
You got 3 people watching. What's up, y'all?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of some of the biggest ones back then, right? So he was pulling in the class with Mike McGraw, I guess, right? 154. I think when people started really taking notice was when he beat Alan Fisher at 176. So, and I think my dad and Mark Pryor, there was a bunch of these guys back then pulling 176, a bunch of bad dudes like, what was it? So not Brian Brandon, but the other Brandon, Mark Brandon, I think. I think he was pulling 176, and you just had a lot of bad dudes that were around the same area at the same time. Well, it was around Petaluma. So Petaluma is where it kind of all started with the World Wrist Wrestling Championships, right? So because of that, it was kind of a hotbed, I guess. If there's a such thing as a hotbed in arm wrestling back then, that would have been something you'd have called hotbed. Yeah. So I think he started getting wins on those guys. And when you get a win on Alan Fisher, like, people take notice, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
So, and it wasn't just a win. Like, eventually it was like, dude, this guy is just rolling people. Kenny and my dad for a long time had wars, like, just, and even now, like, it's usually no like easy match when they pull now, but I'm talking about just barn burners where they're both just crazy, either in tight or all over the damn table. I mean, they've had some epic matches, and then a lot of times they pull double weight classes or, pull weight classes both hands and pull all day long with each other.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I think those are the biggest guys there. And then I think after Alan Fisher is when people really saw. Like, Alan Fisher, everybody knew who it was, right? So I think once he beat him, then people were really talking. And I think I don't think there's no reason that Kenny couldn't do whatever he wanted now, right? So Kenny, in the right mindset, training right and focused, is a problem for most anybody.
Sure.
Like, at his weight class, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a unique style, man. He's got a unique style, the way he hits, and it's just
changed over the years. He's got all the styles, right? So, like, he can pull every single way, and he pulls a lot different now. He starts a lot different now, but I'm saying, like, he can pull every way. There's no spot that he can't pull.
Yeah. Even to see him hit Tom Nelson in a certain direction out of Tom's hook on Game of Arms, I was thinking, dang, because I've ended up with Tom Nelson in a hook up there in Chicago for, like, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 seconds, and he took me down. But just to think, because I try to hit too, but to see how much leverage Kenny got in a certain direction to keep him out of that hook, man, was something I was analyzing, because, I was trying to, do a good high posting top roll. But dude, he's definitely quick to get that position for sure, with a lot of strength on him.
Yeah.
So, brother, moving forward, who do you see locally that's got some that you see that's training right now in Tennessee that you think? I know Terry Preston's on here right now, man. He's got a strong left hand. You've been training with Terry?
Yeah, we train together. I haven't been training steady for a while, right? So I'm, like, trying to get back into it, and now I'm moving, and just got a lot going on. So I'm working my way back into it. But yeah, I've pulled with Terry since he started. Super, super strong. One thing about Terry is that, like, you really need to beat him fast. Like, because if he can get to where he can stop, like, his wrists don't really want to go anywhere once it gets in. And, like, even if he can't pin you right away, he'll be going out here and just a little more, till he's all the way to the bottom. And just holds, his lock just stays.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Terry for sure, man. I think, you know, if he wants to, he can do whatever he wants as far as I don't know. I think he'll need to pull 165.
Hey, Terry said,
at least for a while.
Terry said it's cool hearing David tell stories about the beginning of his career in Cali.
Thanks, buddy. You know, listen, like, I think, like, I love everything that I've done out here in Tennessee, but man, when I was like riding with my dad and Mike McGraw, taking these trips up to Petaluma, California for the World Championship, and you know, going to Reno for the USAA Pro-Am, the national championship, and you know, all these places. It was just so much fun, man. That was the difference is like back then we were always learning stuff, right? Like, so you didn't just have it on the internet where you could go find it.
Yeah.
Like, everybody didn't know the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
So how good you were could be totally determined by something that you learned, you know, within the last month or whatever, something that somebody else didn't know. And still it's that way to an extent, but it's just different because, like, I could run down, you know, all the basic arm wrestling motions, you know, in 10 minutes. And then I could break into all the side motions, and like most people can kind of break that down, right? Back then, like, you fucking be arguing over, like, no, man, this is not right because of this. No, this is not right because of that. And everybody had a different way to train, and nobody was training right, not based on what I could tell. Maybe John Brezink just arm wrestling, because just arm wrestling is more like deadlifting than anything else, right? So it's probably like the closest thing to arm wrestling is deadlifting, right? Holding something as heavy as possible for a short period of time. And so, you know, like, everybody was doing curls, and just like, curls are fine. That's great. Like, if you want biceps and stuff, and there's instances where if you do it correctly, I do believe it can have a huge impact on your overall horsepower, right? But the way most people train curls and things like that for arm wrestling, especially at a novice level and people getting into the sport, it's just, you know, it's just not the same. It doesn't really transfer over that much, right?
What do you think somebody just starting out should do for training, like a training regimen for a novice guy? What would you recommend some workout regimens for a new guy to do?
For a new guy, lots of recovery, I would say, and I mean, just be ready be okay with experiencing some pain, because you're gonna have some pain. You cannot go wrong watching, you know, Todd Hutchings or Devin Lorette or some of these guys tell you how to train. Not everybody is John Brezink, right? So supplementing your arm wrestling with training that has you lifting heavy weights and consistently increasing those lifts, and also recovering all the time, right? Because, like, in my opinion, and it's different for everybody, but you wonder what some of these people would be like if they did train like this. But the best training going on is the ones that are doing everyday arm wrestling training, and they're doing sometimes 2-a-days and things like that. And they're not all, you know, just going as hard as you can. There's a lot of recovery, right? But you always are needing recovery in arm wrestling. So I think you can't go wrong with those guys. Devin Lorette, Todd Hutchins, a little bit different theories, but you can get great stuff from both, you know.
So what can we expect from David Owens on the table moving forward? Who's some people you want to take down, tournaments you want to win? I know you still got to finish out that book of yours, the Legend of the Scorpion.
Man, so for me, like I just want to get myself healthy again. Like I've been eating junk, and you getting like right now we're all in a lull, right? Most of us are not arm wrestling.
Yeah.
And so, eating habits are not good. Training habits are not good. So I got to fix that stuff. And then once I do, the names really don't change that much from year to year. There's a few new ones, but if they're at 165 or 176, then I'd say they're on my list. It's going to take me some time to get, to where I need to be. But I mean, ultimately, if you're like, I don't know, like if your goal is to just go and party and have a good time in a tournament, then it doesn't matter, right? Like you don't need a list. If you're making a list and your goal is not to beat the best guy, then I don't know what's the point of beating like the 20th best guy, or you know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to do that. Like if I'm going to be competitive, which when I start arm wrestling and when I do arm wrestle, typically I'm trying to beat everybody there, right? And that's my mindset. I don't go into it going, oh yeah, I'm probably going to lose this one, I'm going to lose that one. In the back of your mind, your subconscious probably can't help it, but I'm always going in there to win. So,
yeah, Terry said
the top guys really haven't changed that much for me to year.
Well,
I think I have to really put some like hardcore time into training correctly for a while to get myself back to the level I need to be.
do you have a nemesis?
I don't know, man. Like I don't think law's something that I'm interested in, but anybody at the highest level anywhere else, like national championships. I want to at least once in my life go to world championships. And that's like a hefty hit on your wallet, right? So that doesn't have to be, anytime soon, but I definitely want to do that. So
would you be open to Worlds this year?
It'll take a few years.
Would you be open to attending Worlds this year?
No, I'm not ready. I mean,
September?
Know thyself.
In September?
What's that?
Maybe in September? You could get ready by September.
No, I won't be ready in September. I mean, so listen, like ready for, state and maybe nationals by then, sure. But world championship, like I'm a couple of years out, like a couple of years of solid training. Like look at Vazgen Segoya, like he trains year round, right? But like, so imagine like let's say it's a horse race, okay? And let's say you got 10 guys, and you got Luke Kent, you got Corey Miller, just throw whoever you want in there. Well, right now, everybody's doing this, maybe, right? Some of them might be doing this, right? Some of them are not moving at all. I'm not moving at all, and for me to get anywhere close to that, I have to get to top form, and then I have to continue building on that. Because while you're training, they're training. Right?
Yeah.
So you're training, getting better now. If you're starting out, you're going to get stronger than you are now faster because you have a long way to go, right? But once you get to the point where you're almost at your tip-top shape where you are and you're trying to increase that, then it's incremental. So, I mean, it's going to take some time, but it's definitely something I want to do. I'm in no way, shape, or form done. I want to get myself back healthy, and I'd like to put on 15 pounds of muscle and lose a gut and then see,
Do you have a nemesis that y'all have went back and forth with that you would like to reign supreme over him, or a couple of people that you've constantly battled back and forth with over the years?
That I've went back and forth with, no.
Or somebody that you want to beat, maybe? And you may not.
Yeah, I mean, like, and like, listen, the guys that are relevant to me aren't going to be relevant to everybody.
Yeah.
But
sure.
you know, Cobra Rhodes. I've pulled Cobra twice, and he's beat me both times. And inside the strap both times. And, like, Cobra is always Cobra, right? Like, he could show up at a tournament tomorrow. He's still going to be good. But
how did you do with Cobra?
It's a big one. Like, it's important to me because I have a lot of respect for him, and just because, you know, like, he's an arm wrestling legend, right? There's not that many true arm wrestling legends. To me, Cobra is an arm wrestling legend, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And still around and still doing it, right? So, and in the same boat, I would say Alan Fisher. But, you know, Luke Kent's tossed me around every time I've pulled him. Corey Miller. I mean, and some of these guys fluctuate weight class and stuff like that. Jamie Sheldon. So, you know, I don't think, like, I don't look at it like rivalries because I'm always competing against myself, right? It's like golf. You know, I'm trying to do as good as I can possibly do, and I go in there with the intention of beating everybody. And controlling everything that's happening on the table, but that's not reality. It doesn't always happen like that, right?
Yeah.
So you learn from the things that happen on the table when you lose, you know, and you hopefully, like, win with a little bit of, what's the word? Like, just a little bit of humility, you know what I mean? Like, be humble. And I think it's great to have fun and maybe garner excitement and things like that. But, like, respect is a huge, huge thing for me, right? Like, so I just think all of the guys that I would like to pull, I want to pull because I respect them, and I know the level they're at, and I want to be at that level. And also, like, practice, like, if any way, shape, or form, if you're a guy that's trying to get better, you need to practice with those guys, right? Like, whoever it is that's got the strength you want, you need to go pull with those guys. And you need to learn from them, and you need to, you know, pull with them, because getting opened up and pulling against people that are stronger than you is what's going to make you stronger. I mean, that's of course, you got training and all that stuff too, but that's a big thing, right? So, like, Todd Hutchins is a perfect example of a person that started, trained with some people, got to a point where he kind of plateaued, and then went and found some more better people to train with. You know what I mean? So if you can do that, and I don't have the luxury to do that, but if you can do that, that's best case scenario. Yeah. And that's definitely something in the future. You know, my kids are getting older, and definitely in the future, that's something that I'd like to do, is branch out and get my hands on as many really good arm wrestlers as possible as far as practice and, you know, things like that, and just trying to get stronger that way.
And man, I tell you, the camaraderie of having an arm wrestling group. You look, I'm reflecting back on guys like C.J. Whitfield, Scott Whitfield, James Work, you know, me and you, and just the camaraderie that's in the group and traveling. Man, to me, that was the most fun I ever had. Period. Just us all getting in a big car and heading down to Alabama, heading to Illinois, and talking about the strategy, how to beat certain people, talking about, you know, how to set up, and just looking forward to that, man. All the training we did, and now we're about to put it on the line and see if we're prepared against other national pullers, state pullers. You have no idea who's going to be there, you know.
The trip is half the fun, man. Like,
yeah.
Listen, when I was in California this last time, when I lived out there, I went to, I think what they're calling the California State Championship now at the LA Fit Expo. And it was like 15 of us, the California Armbenders, 15 of us riding up there in a big van. And man, dude,
that's what I'm talking about.
So much fun. And, like, stop sign never shuts up. So he narrates everything that's going on all day long. And those guys are just fun to be around, man. They're right. So all super cool guys.
Tom Nelson being there with y'all?
I don't know. I don't think he went to the Fit Expo one. He kind of, once he started doing Game of Arms and WAL and stuff, he kind of backed off the more local stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess I sort of get that if you're trying to maintain, you know, like once you get out on TV and stuff, now you have an image, and if you're trying to maintain that image, you're not trying to lose to every local, you know. And that doesn't mean he'll lose to every local, but I'm saying you go to places and you run into some, you know, guy from Russia that came overseas and is just here this week, and you get beat in a local tournament. So, I mean, I understand sort of staying away from some of that from that perspective. But yeah, he as soon as like Game of Arms started, he was kind of not coming around as far as the tournaments go.
Yeah, I always like to watch him and Eric Lefel pull left-handed. I know they went back and forth, but would you say Eric or Tom left-handed, California left-handed arm wrestling?
So here's the hard part, right? So who knows? Like, Eric Lefel was one of the best left-handed arm wrestlers in the world at one time, and he was one of the guys that we originally trained with the Arm Rangers, right? So Eric Lefel was in that group with Dean Collins and, you know, Bert Pryor and Mike McGraw and all of us, right? I think Eric, like, at his top form, like, is still a pretty bad dude. I want to say, I'm not 100% sure, but I want to say Tom was getting the best of him for a while. But that may have been right-handed. I'm not 100% sure. He's pretty bad left-handed, but, you know, like, he's getting older too. So, I mean, there's a lot of young guys that are coming up, but he's still a bad dude. Like, on any given day, if he steps to the table, the other guy's worried about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's very few people that are not going to be, you know, putting everything they have into that.
Oh, no doubt, man, both of them. Well, listen, brother, it's getting late, man. I want to say, David, man, thank you. Just having this video on my YouTube video and you doing this, man, without you, I wouldn't have got into arm wrestling. I wouldn't have pursued being an arm wrestler, being a promoter, gully grip, never been big, just being such a part of my life, man. Besides all the just my quality of life, man, and my lifestyle, and something that I get to play out and live and experience with great guys. The people in arm wrestling are great people, man. Just best people I've ever met in my life. And brother, I just want to thank you so much, man. I seen, you know, you post that plaque yesterday from TAA, and dude, all of us, man, here in Tennessee, just thank you, brother, for setting the standards high and inspiring us. And man, forever grateful, brother. Forever grateful.
My pleasure, man. It's been fun, I promise. Every bit as worth it for me as all of you. So, and you know, I never expected to, you know, put on 6 tournaments in a year or have an organization that I was running. I just did it because I wanted to see more arm wrestlers around me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm definitely glad that something that I got to experience, and thankfully people like you and James and Scott and you know, Terry and all the guys that are hanging around now, right? The guys that stick around, and even the guys that were around when it first started. Like, everybody's just gonna have their own things and stuff, but I couldn't have done it. Like, I wouldn't have kept doing it. You guys motivated me, right? That's what motivated. Going to practice and teaching new stuff. That motivated the hell out of me. It was fun, and man, I couldn't be more proud of it.
Yeah, Blake Perry's on here right now. He said, "What's up, my old friends? Miss David."
What's up, buddy?
I think he's got a super match coming up pretty soon with Glenn down in Alabama. Glenn Brooks.
Glenn Brooks?
Yep. I think they're going to be pulling right.
That should be interesting.
Yeah. Super strong in the hook.
Glenn's another one of those that's always super tough, so get yourself in that hook.
There's so many awesome arm wrestlers, man, from Tennessee.
I'll be up there in a minute.
And Blake obviously being just, man, I remember me and Blake went at it. Blake was at the first arm wrestling tournament. He was the first guy. Me and him went at it forever. I felt like my arm was going to snap because I had no idea what I was doing. Just a massive man, good guy. And he, after the tournament, took me over and, taught me some things and showed me what to do. And just a good dude. And just awesome character. Good people, man. Huge, big man, strong. Just a hook. Getting deep. And
the first time I ever met Blake was at Tri-State. And I think it was like before I even started getting people arm wrestling. So I think it was 2008.
Yeah.
I want to say 2008 was the first time I ever met him, and I thought I was going to pull him the same day that I met him because I won my class, and then it was just I beat one guy, and then it was Jerry Cole, and then him.
I remember.
And I got flashed by Jerry Cole, and then I think Blake got the same treatment. Good old days.
Yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. And then there's Kent Shepard, man. Kent Shepard. What about that big guy? He's super strong.
Yeah. I think if he was training and active and stuff like that, he'd be a problem for a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't think he's active, but I mean, he may be practicing or whatever, but not vocalizing it. You know what I mean? But I think if he was to, seriously train, get serious about it. What is it?
Blake said, LOL, I did. Yeah.
Jerry Cole.
Yeah.
It's okay, man. I talked shit for like a month before the Tennessee State Championship after that. And then lost to him again.
Yeah. Man, that's some tough arm
yeah.
There.
Oh, to be young and dumb.
I'm ready to be young and dumb again, man. Let's get the tournaments back going, dude. I'm ready. Come on. Let's go. We'll go back to North Carolina, do that North Carolina trip with Scott Whitfield again.
Dude, let's do it, man. I'm so ready. Like, as soon as this COVID stuff is passed, we got to. Like, I'm ready. Like, we'll rent a 15-passenger van, and we'll get a bunch of people, and anybody that wants to go, we'll get 3 or 4 rooms or whatever we got to do. And that stuff is so much fun, man. I love the road trips.
Best part about it. We got a lot to look forward to it, brother. And what I'm going to do on these YouTube videos, man, I'll invite some other people in. We could sit and talk. And, with COVID, at least we could all get together, talk technique and what everybody's working out. Maybe we could just play some cards or something online. I don't know, man. But David, you're the man, brother.
Sounds good.
Hey, have a good night,
all
man.
Right, bud.
Peace out.
Thanks, man. You too.
All right, bye-bye.